Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown, bringing a conclusion to the best of 3 series between Ninjahund and Daman from ESL. If you haven't watched the previous battles, make sure you do that first. Here, we've got Ninjahund fighting for the lady as Bretonnia, and Daman leading the vampire counts in a decisive battle. As always, we start with army composition. Bretonnia's coming in with Leoncoeur in charge, alongside a damsel, 2 paladins, 6 units of spearmen at arms, 3 units of peasant bowmen, and 2 units of Grail Knights. You'll notice that 2 of these spearmen at arms units are ranked up to rank 1, and the remaining 4 are ranked up to rank 2. Meanwhile, the vampire counts have Vlad von Karstein in charge, 2 White Kings, 2 units of zombies, a unit of skeleton warriors, 2 units of skeleton spearmen, 4 units of graveguards, the Stearnsmen, a unit of blood knights, and a mortis engine. And remember, if you aren't already, you should be following Ninjahund on Twitch and Twitter. He streams battles on a near daily basis and is one of the top Total War players out there right now. The links to his channel are on screen and will be in the description below as well. With that said, onwards to the battlefield. As always, let's start with a little preview of the setup we've got here. It looks like Ninjahund has a pretty standard build. He's got his spearmen up front, peasant bowmen right behind, and his cavalry off to the side, though they are very far and wide off. It's probably because he was expecting a straight head-on charge from the vampire counts, and he was hoping to use these Grail Knights to go around these mounds and provide some sort of a rear flanking support with a pincer maneuver. However, on the flip side, Daman has actually positioned himself off to the side here, as you can see, very clumped up together, sort of in one of those Death Star builds, if you will. He's got the Mortis engine providing some regenerative support, and he's also got Vlad von Karstein in charge, of course, and he does have Invocation of Nehek and regenerative powers in general. So he's decided to clump himself up, move down the woods, probably hoping to be hidden, but he has been spotted thanks to these Grail Knights, as well as the vision provided by Leoncoeur and the 2 paladins. So parts of his army have been spotted right from the get-go, which ruins the element of surprise he was hoping for, potentially. Now, with that said, immediately you'll see Ninjahund does start to respond, and what ends up happening is Ninjahund tries to block off access for Daman to enter into the center, and ultimately the battle takes place up against this corner here and some engagements over here as well. So the majority of the fighting actually takes place off the center of the map. Right from the get-go, you will see also that Ninjahund responds with pulling his Grail Knights out from behind this precarious situation and stationing them off to the side here, where they're able to come in for a flanking maneuver if necessary from either side. Meanwhile, Leoncoeur as well as the Paladins are flying in to just get a full scout and make sure that Ninjahund is fully aware of everything that Daman is bringing into this combat situation, and you'll notice that when they get just a little bit too close, the Mortis Engine's effects do kick in on these 3 units, just momentarily there, causing a little bit of damage. There you go, and so he does have to pull back, keep his distance, but pretty well aware of what's going on here. And I would like to point out, traveling through the woods and fighting in the woods is especially helpful when you're against an army like Bretonnia, if they're fielding a lot of cavalry. Remember, large units do have significant penalties when they're fighting in wooded areas, so this is exceptionally helpful, especially when Bretonnia is coming in with a lot of cavalry. Unfortunately for Daman, though, Ninjahund is not cavalry heavy. He's actually very peasant heavy. Of course, the Paladins and Leoncoeur count as large as well, but overall, when it comes to composition, he's not fielding plenty of Knights of the Realm, for example. Now, you'll notice, though, that Daman has painted himself into a bit of a corner. No matter which way he goes, he will be funneling in to Ninjahund's forces. So what Ninjahund is trying to do is block off access from multiple routes for Daman. You'll notice that he's trying to create this sort of funnel here, so no matter how Daman tries to push through, he will be caught in and surrounded. And if he tried to push forward from a flanking position, these Grail Knights here would be able to intercept. However, with those Grail Knights positioned there, Daman also realizes that there's a significant potential of them actually coming down and looping from behind in a flanking maneuver of their own. So he summons these zombies very cleverly, sends them up, and positions them here to block off that access. Now, they are just zombies, so it's not like they'll last for a very long time, but buying those extra precious few seconds can make the difference in a battle like this. Now, just as the Mortis engine comes into range, you'll notice these peasant bowmen all open fire onto the engine. That is a very high value target. The regenerative abilities it provides, as well as the damage it causes, as little as it may be, can make a huge difference to the battle, considering how these effects stack. So, great idea. They're focusing down on that fire, and you'll notice as soon as it gets out of the woods and starts affecting these units, it does start to take a decent amount of damage. Meanwhile, a lot of spellcasts about to come through in just a moment. You'll notice the Master of Beguilement goes down on these Grail Knights, just in case they decide to charge in an attack. Daman wants to make sure they are negated as much as possible. Meanwhile, down in the center here, among the Vampire Counts, Invocation of Nehek goes down nice and early. This makes sure that they're not taking too much damage. They're regenerating and being resurrected ASAP. And at the same time, Curse of the Midnight Wind does go down from the Damsel, as well as a Sword of Quran from Leon Kur. So that effectively neutralizes majority of these units. Actually, their melee attack and melee defense stats are brought right down either to 0 or to just the low double digits, 10s, 11, 12s. Even Vlad von Karstein is just brought down to 32 and 14, so very good combination of spells there, making sure that these guys are largely inefficient. Leon Kur's in there as well, alongside two paladins, trying to cause as much damage as early as possible. When it comes to a battle of attrition, Bretonnia really doesn't have legs to stand on. It's all peasants. They're relatively low morale, low leadership, so you can't have combat lasting for too long. And you'll see here as well, just stacking that magic up, we've got a Thunderbolt going down as well, and that's going to cause a decent amount of damage to these units because they're clumped up so closely. So you have to be very careful when you're up against an army like Bretonnia and they have a Damsel, or if you're up against an army that feels the Foot of Gork, for example, or Comets, you have to be very careful of that kind of clumping because it can cause a severe amount of damage. Meanwhile, on this side, I would like to point out that these zombies were very quickly taken care of by these Grail Knights. They had been pushed into engage, and you'll see it bought Daman a couple of extra seconds, maybe a minute there in combat, but now these Grail Knights are free to go in and push in from the rear, especially with this largely debuffed Vampire Count army. Now, you'll notice the Mortis Engine just went down there, and these zombies are being pulled out in the rear here behind enemy lines. That is a great use of that spell. It's the most common use to get them in behind enemy lines or to get them to engage archers, and you'll see that's exactly what's happening here. These zombies were pulled out. They're immediately being forced into these archers, just again to prevent that trickle damage that they're able to cause. So great move there, just keeping these archers busy. Again, it's not like a lot of damage is going to be caused by these zombies, but the amount of damage they're stopping is essential. And you'll notice here, trying to get a full surround in there, pulling Leon Kur out. Those paladins stuck in there, though, in a very precarious situation. Invocation of Nehek goes down once again, just trying to regenerate and keep this army alive. Meanwhile, of course, Ninjahund is just trying to cause as much damage as he can to morale and physical, because again, even though the Vampire Counts don't break like regular units, they don't shatter, getting these rear charges in, getting these surrounds in, make sure that they do start to crumble, and that of course causes physical damage among themselves, which just helps dissipate them a lot quicker. Meanwhile, these Grail Knights have been pulled back to engage these zombies because, again, even though they're not causing too much damage to the Peasant Bowmen, they are preventing them from firing, and every little bit of damage, whether it's to morale or health, matters right now. So these Grail Knights get pulled back, quickly dispatching of these zombies and then preparing to go back in, and you'll notice another Thunderbolt. There you go. Another huge explosion causing a significant amount of damage and crumbling a lot of these units, so this damage is extremely helpful for Ninjahund. And again, continuing these cycle charges, not breaking concentration, going back and forth. Meanwhile, von Karstein drops another Master of Beguilement onto Leon Kur, significantly reducing his attack capabilities. So in this engagement, he's largely useless, threatening as he may seem. So very quickly, Ninjahund does pull him back, takes him out of combat. No need to take damage when you're not dealing any. And now the Grail Knights also come in to intercept these two White Kings because they were about to jump in, and I believe they were targeting the two of these Peasant Bowman units, again trying to negate the damage they might be doing. So going in very quickly, cutting them off with the Grail Knights, and again you'll notice these Grail Knights were pulled back and now being pushed back in, just trying to cycle charge, get rid of these Blood Knights nice and early. They're very close to crumbling and dying, so just making sure that with all this focus fire, all this trickle damage, there you go, they're fallen finally, and that's a huge advantage. That is one of the last elite units that Daman has in this clump here. The Grave Guard and the Skeleton Warriors are really not a big deal for this Bretonnian contingent. We've got the Sword of Quran going down again, ultimately spelling doom for these undead units. More Peasant Fire, and over here, the Grail Knights, very capable of holding back this White King. However, this White King here was able to just sneak past, engage these Peasant Bowmen, and send them off scurrying and running. You'll notice also, it's not like perfect for Ninjahund or anything in this engagement. He's got this paladin, had routed for a little bit there, the damsel also running away and now being pulled back in. So Bretonnian forces also struggling a little bit, but overall using magic and cycle charges just to make sure that not only are the vampire counts plugged in, kept in this little funnel that was built sort of Daman's own construction actually, but also slowly rotating the facing of the army. As you may have seen, initially the vampire counts were facing this way, and as the engagement has progressed, even though a lot of Bretonnian troops have retreated and left, the Grail Knights in their positioning, though it may not have been intentional, has resulted in the vampire counts facing this way, which ultimately means that these bowmen are actually causing more damage now, and they're never blocked off by shields. So I don't know if that was inadvertent or intentional, but that does help along the way. Meanwhile, this White King does dive in and try to support the remaining White King, or rather the other White King, in this battle against the Grail Knights, because the Grail Knights have been holding up very well, and of course with the the buffs they do get from the nearby general and the overall battle situation right now, they are able to stick around and largely take care of one of these White Kings, though obviously two is a little bit much. I might have suggested actually using the White King at this point to rear charge into the Spearmen at Arms here and then hope to break some of these Bretonnian units. Again, all is not lost. While it looks like the bulk of the Vampire Count army is surrendering right now, remember, they don't actually run away, so they will be holding position for a very long time. It would have been great to get the White Kings into the rears here, just breaking the morale of these units. With a rear charge, these Spearmen would have probably run off, and that might have just caused a bit of a chain route between these two peasant spearmen, or spearmen at arms I should say, and then it would just be a matter of taking care of the Grail Knights. And of course, it's not like Leoncoeur is an easy task, but that reduction in morale can make a huge difference. You'll see though, in fact, it is the reverse that happens. The weight of Bretonnia is just too much, and ultimately Ninjahund wins it for the lady. And with that decisive victory, Ninjahund does move on to the next round, and these battles I think have been a great showcase of skill, patience, and dexterity on the battlefield. I hope you guys learned some valuable concepts from these battles. As always, I like to focus on battles that have an opportunity to learn from. In this one particularly, it was all about positioning, flanking maneuvers, and magic, magic, magic. Summoning zombies to sneak behind enemy lines but also to block flanks, stacking magic and abilities to negate the enemy, and using the right spell at the right time were all crucial to this battle. Flank denial gave either player the control of the battlefield at different times, and ultimately, Ninjahund was able to overpower the zombies in the left flank, allowing him to take control of the field and open Daman's army up to rear charges. So, really interesting use of positioning and charges and flanking there, and I thought there was a lot that could be learned from what was actually relatively a short battle. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content, and keep sending in those battle submissions. Real examples are a powerful learning tool, and I hope you guys have enjoyed these battles. There's a lot more to come, of course, so stay tuned, and I'll see you on the battlefield.